The Adeptus Astartes were created to be the shield of humanity, angels of death designated to slaughter Xenos, purge demons, and crush the traitor. They call each other brother. They speak of honor, lineage, and bond of gene seed. But there is one chapter that does not care about brotherhood. One chapter that does not look outward to the enemies in the dark, but inward at his own kin. They are the Minotaurs, and they are the Space Marines who kill Space Marines. While the Ultramarines build empires and the Salamanders protect the innocent, the Minotaurs exist for one purpose: to destroy anyone the High Lords of Terra want gone. And usually, they means destroying all the Loyalist Chapters. They serve the politicians of Terra. They are the best equipped, most brutal, and most mysterious chapter in the galaxy. And by the time this video is over, you might just agree that they are more terrifying than the traitor of the hunt. So don't forget to subscribe, and let's begin. To understand the Minotaurs, you have to understand who holds their leash. Most chapters are semi-autonomous. The Space Force do whatever they want, the Dark Age have their own secret agenda, but the Minotaurs, they are the personal attack dogs of the High Lords of Terra. They emerged during the 36th millennium, part of the infamous 21st founding, the Cursed Founding. This was a time when the Adeptus Mechanicus tried to improve upon Emperor's War with disastrous result. While the other chapters from this era mutated or went insane, the Minotaurs emerged different. They disappeared for a time, only to emerge as a fleet-based crusade force of overwhelming power. And this is where things get suspicious. A normal chapter struggles to maintain 1,000 battle brothers. Relic Terminator armor is rare. Dreadnoughts are ancient treasures. Yet, the Minotaurs deploy with full strength. Seemingly overnight, they field enough Terminator suits to make the first company of the Ultramarines jealous. They have access to fresh gene seed, new ships, and ammunition supplies that will bankrupt a planetary system. Why? Because the High Lords pay for it. The Minotaurs are the only chapter that has never had beg for supplies. In exchange, they do the dirty work. When a chapter master gets too independent, the Minotaurs are sent. When a planetary governor with Astartes connection stops paying tithes, the Minotaurs arrive. They are the ultimate sanction, the thread that keeps the other Space Marines in line. Leading this force is a figure who might not even be a human anymore. Chapter Master ASTERION MOLOC, the bringer of wrath. MOLOC is a monster. He doesn't command from the back. He's a frontline butcher. He wears the Tartaros pattern Terminator armor, painted in the bronze and red of his chapter, covered in the glyphs and trophies. But look closely at his weapon. He wields the Black Spear. This is not a standard Astartes power weapon. It is a laser-equipped power spear that is very similar to the Guardian spears used by the Adeptus Custodes. Think about the implication of that. The Custodes guard the Emperor himself. For a Space Marine Chapter Master to wield a weapon of their lineage, it implies a level of sanction and access that is essentially heresy for anyone else. But the man inside the armor is a void. MOLOC rarely speaks. He doesn't attend war councils. He doesn't negotiate. MOLOC simply waits for the targets and then destroys it. There are rumors, whispers in the dark, that ASTERION MOLOC is not a man, but a title. That the High Lords rebuild him or replace him whenever he falls. Maybe he is a cybernetic golem, a programmed killer with the memories of 100 dead warlords. Whether that's true or not, the fury he aspires is very real. If you want to see the Minotaur true nature, you have to look at the Badab War. This was a civil war between Loyalist Chapter. It was tragic, it was messy, but for the Minotaurs, it was just business. The Lamenters were on the secessionist side, mistakenly believing they were fighting for the freedom of the Maelstrom Zone. They were noble, unlucky heroes, and then the Minotaurs arrived. The Minotaurs didn't just defeat the Lamenters, they dismantled them. In a brutal board in action, the Minotaurs used their superior numbers and heavy armor to grind the Lamenters down. And when the Lamenters surrendered, the Minotaurs took everything. They stripped the dead, they claimed the Lamenters' ship, they took their relics, they effectively looted a broader chapter like a common pirates. This wasn't a one-time event. Ask the Inceptors, ask the Doom Warriors. In the Euxine incident, the Minotaurs nearly wiped out both chapters because they fell into a trap of political inconvenience. The Minotaurs don't care about the Codex. They don't care about brotherhood. They care about the killing and the loot. So who are they really? The High Lords have sealed the records of the Minotaurs' gene seed. Officially, it is chimeric, a mix. But if you look how they fight, the truth seems much darker. Theory 1. The Iron Warriors. The Minotaurs are masters of siege warfare. They are cold, logical, and brutal. They grind their enemies down with attrition. They are paranoid. Sounds like a Perturabo song, doesn't it? Theory 2. The World Eaters. The Minotaurs are berserkers when the combat starts. The name Minotaurs itself evokes the bull, the beast. MOLOC is a bringer of wrath. Could the High Lords be using the ginseng of Angron to create a leash-controlled monster? Now, I personally lean more towards the Iron Warriors theory, and here's why. The Minotaurs are something far colder. Think about how the Minotaurs actually fight. They don't just charge screaming like berserkers, they dismantle you. Their preferred doctrines is overwhelming force applied to a specific weak point, usually a fortress or a heavy assault. They love boarding actions, zone mortalis, a grinding attrition. That is the textbook on Perturabo. This is the Iron Warriors' must hammer philosophy, spending lives like cruising to break an unbreakable object. But the strongest evidence is just their guns, it's their psychology. The Iron Warriors were defined by their bitterness. They felt used, they felt like the galaxy owned them, and they hated everyone who claimed to be more honorable than them. Does that sound familiar? The Minotaurs possess the same toxic paranoia. They don't just kill other Space Marines, they seem to enjoy humbling them. When the Minotaurs fight the Ultramarines or the Imperial Fist, it feels personal. It feels like they are proving a point. Your honor means nothing against our brutality. This is exactly the deep-seated resentment of the Iron Warriors held for the Imperial Fist during the Great Crusade. It's not about winning, it's about humiliating the golden boys of the Imperium. Furthermore, look at their logistics. The Iron Warriors were masters of supply lines and war gear. The Minotaurs seemingly have endless access to the best Terminator armor, the newest tanks, and the rarest weapons. Sure, the High Lords fund them, but the affinity for heavy armor and siege warfare is in their blood. They don't fight like duelists, they fight like working tanks. So, while the World Eaters theory is fun for the memes, the Iron Warriors connection explains their soul. They are the bitter executioners, the ones who do the dirty work and they hate you for making them doing it. They are Perturabo's spite, weaponized by the High Lords of Terra. So, the Minotaurs are a mirror. They show us the ugly truth of the Imperium. We like to think of Space Marines as heroes, knights in power armor. But the Imperium is a cruel, bloody regime run by tyrants. And tyrants don't need knights, they need executioners. They need monsters who will kill their own brothers without hesitation if the order is signed. The Minotaurs are loyal. They are perhaps the most loyal chapter of all. But they are not loyal to humanity. They are loyal to the throne, and in the Grimdarks of the Far Future, there is the terrifying difference. If you enjoyed this dive into the madness of the 41st millennium, subscribe for more, and let me know in the comments, if the Minotaurs fought the space sharks, who will walk away alive? As always, thank you for watching and see you next time.